Good morning, everybody. It is 8:15 a.m. It is October 24th. Welcome to my channel. Now, yesterday, we pretty much went into the little 2 day, well, kind of like a little bit of a balance area we went back into. And the market actually broke the previous day's highs, but then closed back under. Yesterday, tech was very strong, and that's really hard to fight. And for myself, I was able to take one of those back spreads off for a nice return in options off the first move up. And later on, because we went to ultimate balance and the market wasn't super strong, meaning the overall market, I tried to call credit spread based on supply, ultimate balance, and there when Trump started to talk about the China thing, like there was a big dip, and I basically got out there for like a small loss. And retrospect, I should have waited to the 6750s, got hit in SPX. That probably would have been the best one. And, you always can improve. Yesterday, there was two times I wanted to get long in the futures. Two times. And the first time was, what was it? I'll show you guys real quick and just spy. It'd be the same kind of thing, but actually, let me show you. Give me a second here. And pull up my futures chart, my trigger chart actually, and I'll just show you there because it's futures and it's the chart I trade off of. So let me show you that. So right here, okay, this is my trigger chart. Let me get I'll just use my crosshairs here. The way I like to trade is like a pullback, gives me a nice time to like get in. So when we came right here, I wanted to get long at like the 67.38s right here. And I was like, okay, let me get a pullback. And this was so quick, it didn't really give me a chance to any decision here. And that would have been a nice trade, right? The second one was when we pulled back here. And I wanted to get long. I think I wanted to get long around, let's see here, the 50s or so. And I was waiting for some kind of pullback again. But see what happens? It didn't give it to me. See this shallow pullback? And at this time, this was the VPOC. And I was like, I don't really want to trade by the VPOC. It was right at VWAP, and it just lifted. And I was like, wow, all right. I really didn't have a shot, even though I was convicted in going long here. Very convicted because of tech being strong. But that's the breaks. So pretty much had a quiet day in trading, but I was very convicted. That's what's sometimes sucks about it because I was like, oh, I'm convicted in a long here. I just didn't get my setup. Convicted in a long here. I didn't like where we were, and I didn't get the pullback to here. And that's just trading. And what happened? Boom, boom, boom. Right? Went up, went up. So that is trading for you. Just wanted to share that with you guys. Okay. Give me one sec while I move this. Alrighty, let me get out of that page. All right. So that's what's going on. Now we have CPI coming out at 8:30 today. We haven't had some kind of data like this in a while. And this market, right? This market is a crazy, crazy market. And I said yesterday, oh, this is probably a long. Give me one sec, everybody. All right, everybody, it's back. So what I was saying was this was such a little bear trap. That's why I put that back spread on. Okay, that's why I put that back spread on, and I was able to get I paid 26 cents and I got $90 credit yesterday off this big move back up. Okay, those are like little spreads I do when I'm really not sure. Okay, when I wasn't really sure, and I put that in my Discord. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think there's a good chance we rip back up. Well, not a good chance. If there is a chance, I didn't pay a lot of money. Now, in retrospect, I probably could have put four of them on. That would have only been like $100, and I would have made like close to $300 or something. So that probably in the future, I probably will do that. So this was just a clear bear trap here. The big wick, basically shorts took profits. Another reason why I got that call credit spread in here is because this supply zone here in the daily supply, we couldn't break this high, and that's why I was like, I don't think we're going to go much higher. Same in the Nasdaq, we didn't go much higher. It just sometimes it doesn't work out, right? And like I said, in retrospect, I should have waited because tech was so strong. All right, so that's what's going on in our markets, right? It looks like we're going to break all-time highs today, unless something crazy happens. We're gapping up right now prior to CPI. I don't know how much the market's going to care about the CPI. All right, don't know. And this morning, we'll get into it, but this morning I looked at charts in like the majors Mag 7 Plus list that I always show you guys. That thing's a mess. That thing's an awful mess for trades. Awful. Everything looks gross. However, some other stocks like IREN and ONDS and Oklo, those look nice. Nimbus, IonQ, Rigetti. There's a couple other ones I have. Actually, the only one that I like is Oracle, possibly. So I'm going to show you some of those charts in a little bit. All right. We have 8 minutes to this data comes out. And that's what's going on. Let's just get right into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. That is how I construct game plans in stocks and futures. Okay, I also use anchor VWAPs. So anchor in a piece in a part any in a time that I want, and then I want to see who's in control. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. Also, when the market opens, my market internals. Right. So market internals yesterday gave me the edge that Infotech was so strong that any pullback was viable, which was true. It just, there was not a setup really. Now, in retrospect, maybe could I have scaled one in and scaled in and said, you know what, I just want to get long here? Maybe. Probably in retrospect, I probably should have put credit spread on in the SPX when I was so confident, because you don't have to be accurate with those. That's why I like. That probably would have been the best play. Instead of looking for an exact trade, that's the beauty of the credit spreads. Like, you're not putting it in really with a stop loss, and you don't really have to be right on direction. Okay? And in futures, you have to be, your stop loss can't get hit. It's very binary, right? It's either you're out or you're possibly making profit, right? So that's what's going on, and that's why I use market internals, right? Also use Bookmap, right? Bookmap's very key when I really want to look at the order flow, and then the expected move for the week, right? I use that expected move for the week, and again, the only stock that has hit the expected move to the upside, I'm just looking here on my charts, is Apple. Did it on Monday. And notice Apple has not even, that's it. That was it for Apple. So just a beautiful thing. All right. Now, hopefully, you join me every morning. Let me give you the market story and what's going on. Okay. Let me give you that market story. Let me be your cup of coffee. Right now, I'm drinking tea. Um, I don't know. I got up with a little bit of a kind of not a sore throat, but something going on there. Hope it's not doesn't turn into anything. Now, um, of course, join me. Give you the market news, economic calendar, just what's going on in the markets, right? I don't want to predict, right, or say that I'm a guru, all right. But what I've been saying lately on these hourly charts has been coming true, right? What I probability would happen is working. It's just the market makes the price action. It can make it suspect, right? Like yesterday, we drove up to the top and ripped back down, right? So you know, I only think I can get a good hold on what a day or day ahead can do in this market. I mean, it's crazy to have conviction. I don't know. Today, who knows? We're gapping up right now, right? That is coming out soon. All right. If you want more in depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. Okay, sign up. And hopefully, you see the little service I provide, right? It's all obviously for free. If you come to my Discord, right, you get live market updates, right? Live market updates. Give you my options trades. What's my options trades? I've been very busy in options trades. Okay. Stock trades, the friggin' General Mills is the bane of my existence. This thing was ripping. Well, at one point, you can see here, that was ripping. And I was like, all right, cool, looks great. And then as soon as this market gets strength, people start to get out of stables. And now it's like a little red. And I'm just like, this is it. This is it for that trade. I really like the chart, but it's just, I can't trade that. I don't think I can trade this again. But anyway, um, you get my trade recaps, my weekend outlook for the week, my trade reflections, and you get the weekly expected move indicator. Okay, this is free. I run the script in Python every weekend or in Monday morning. It gives you the weekly expected move. The 70% of the time, all the stocks in my list close within that range. 70% of the time. That's a big edge. Okay? Big edge. So, what are you waiting for? Sign up. Sign up. Okay? Now, we're going to look at, in this time, we're going to go right to the daily charts. There's nothing really crazy to look at. Okay? Right to those dailies. We'll look at the watch list after. All right? And we'll switch to a futures chart. All right? And we'll just see what moves this market. Okay? But look what we did. That was basically a bear trap. Shorts covered, and then we went up. And kind of now in this little balance. And we are in ultimate balance. Ultimate balance is very key. Make big moves out of ultimate balance. That's why I think if we do move up today, it could be a very big move. I don't know how big, but it could. Okay. And especially if you start to take out that Friday, that big move, that could happen. Not sure. We're up at 674 right now. We're actually above that level. So that's what I'm saying. This could be a monster move today. Okay. So this is where we're at right now. Let's move on to the hourly charts here. All right. And we're just going to watch while this data drops in about 15 seconds. 15 seconds, this data is going to drop. I don't know if this market's going to care about it. I think we're looking in line for the data. Real quick here. Headline CPI is 3.1, expecting a 2.9. Let's see here. Let's go back to the charts here. breaking out initially. Oh boy. So inflation went up. Let's look at it, guys. So we're getting a big wick up, right? Now let's look at the numbers here. Headline CPI. We were looking for 3.1. That would have been more than 2.9. We got a 3.0. So under what we expected, but still moved up. Now core consensus was 3.1. We got a 3.0. Previous was 3.1. So core went down, headline went up. Here's that big move, like I'm saying. Okay. Now, of course, if you're in an option play, you can't do nothing till the market opens. But obviously, if you're in extended hours in stocks, this is like gonna rip. Remember, ultimate balance. Okay, right here. It's the most traded price of the week and the month. Okay, we'll call it around 67.70s. This is gonna be a big move. We're at all-time highs right now in futures. Okay, so now this supply is gone, and there is no overhead supply at all. At all. We're going to go to the watch list in a sec. I'm actually going to adjust my chart here for a demand zone. Probably looking at a 4-hour demand. Let's see. Yep. So I'm going to put a new demand zone here. Boom, right there. So maybe we get a pullback there. Don't know. Okay, so you can see here, this is a 4-hour, so it's good to stay on the 4-hour for a second. And just look. This was such a bear trap here. Such a bear trap. And then it just boop. And now look, all-time highs. So there's not much to analyze here. There's no resistance above us. Okay? And it sucks. Because probably any longs that I wanted to look at, I just have to wait for pullbacks because there's a lot of alerts I set this morning. So we'll see. Let's look at Qs. Let's look at those Qs. Let's see real crude. Crude's gonna die here. That's the most traded price of the year. Okay. So we'll see. Crude's gonna take a break, I believe. Let's go to the Nasdaq here. Nasdaq's all-time highs as well. Just broke this big supply zone. We can get rid of that now. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go to the 4-hour demand zone here. It might even be a 6-hour. Let's see if it's a 6-hour. It might not be a 6-hour demand. Let's just see. So this is going to be a big gap up in the markets. New let me just put this demand zone here. So no all-time highs again. Amazing. So really, in reality, what that Trump did again with this move, right? That was the pullback the market needed. So you expect sometimes weakness in October, right? So you had that news come out, market panicked, kind of bottomed here, right? And then because of the volatility, up, down, again, went up again and gave you one more, and that wick gave you the strength to go higher. The market's very resilient right now. We're at all-time highs again. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right. Now, right away, let's check in with our watch lists and see what's moving here. Let's look at it, folks. Back to the watch list. Ethereum's leading the pack. Okay. It is up 3.31%. Russell's up 1.58%. Bitcoin's up 1.13%. Nasdaq's up 0.91. ES up 0.66. Crude up 0.53. Dow's up 0.52. 30-year bonds being bought should send yields a little lower. Dollar is down slightly. 10-year yield is down 0.5%. Gold down 1%. Interesting with gold. I'm really eyeing possibly a short in gold. I'm not sure yet. I'm eyeing it. Silver down 1.32. The VIX is down to a 16, folks. And of course, I had iron condors on Oracle, Broadcom, and Nvidia, and they probably are doing great now because of this. The IV's getting crushed. So, and again, story of my week. Everything I put on took off is working. So, yay, yay, yay. Let's move on. Max 7 Plus. Of course, Coinbase is getting some love, up 4.11%. AMD up 3.32. Broadcom up 2.90. Google up 1.1.5%. Nvidia's up 1%. Meta's up 8.89. So everything here is getting love except Tesla, up 0.34. Had a nice move yesterday. All right, moving on to the top sector stocks. Let's see what's getting love here. GEV had a nice pullback because that stock's been consolidating. People must have thought, hey, that's a dip buy. Up 1.91. Palantir's up 1.67. That's been consolidating for a while. Okay. Oracle is a long that I want it today. A long, if it pulls back to yesterday's highs. I really like Oracle. That's probably the only stock in this main list that I was even interested in doing something in. Okay. Home Depot is up 1.16. Qualcomm, Salesforce. The laggard is the mining. Really down 5.47. Okay. So maybe people are taking profits in miners, right? Let's see. Let's look at the granular list. Oklo. Of course, this was a long I was looking at yesterday, and I almost entered around the 120s. Well, that's up almost 5%, 6% today. And I was pondering and pondering, and I was like, I just don't want to. There you go. Intel reported earnings. They were good, up 5.53. And of course, there's the IonQ. Of course, it's up 4.55. Of course, it is. All right. Ford up 3.97. Dell's up 3.74. CoreWeave up 3.63. All right. So a bunch of stocks up. Not a surprise there. Okay. Not a surprise. Let's see who's down. I believe that's Alcoa. It's aluminum. Really nothing, folks. There's nothing even to talk about except the junior miners, right? See gold. Gold, NEM, all that seems like to be a little weak today, right? People maybe are really got nervous with that and taking profits. Okay. Let's move on to sectors now as we make all-time highs in futures. Semis up 1.84%. They continue to lead the packs. That's risk on. Followed by technology up 1.15. Industrials up 0.60. 1.60. Let's see here. There's no laggards, folks. None. The only thing is discretionary. That's your Amazon, Tesla, Home Depot, like McDonald's. That is flat because of Tesla. And who else? Let's see. It could be a laggard there. Not really. So that's what's going on there in the sectors, right? So we're at all-time highs. There's not much to talk about. We can look at some news. Big news is just the CPI made this market hit all-time highs. Yeah, are we gonna get a chance for a pullback? Possibly. Let's check out real quick. We just got the economic calendar right now. Today we do have a couple of. Do we have that coming out? We Yeah, we do have some data today at 9:45 and 10 a.m., which is like, of course, kind of sucks. The reason why that sucks is if if a trade could set up and now data is coming out at 9:45 and 10 a.m. And that usually is what happens sometimes when you have this data come out. It's just bad timing. And a lot of times what happens is like a trade is setting up for me and I'm like, oh my god, 9:45, I can't trade. And then it's like, oh my god, it's setting up again. It's 10 a.m. and I can't trade. So hopefully we get it. We after 10 a.m. the dust settles a little bit because we could just one of those could be, I don't know, catapult the market higher and then you really never get a setup. So I might have to use like some SPX, the options market or something like that to express what I feel might happen in the market. But still, that data, we don't know how the Michigan consumer does move markets. So you gotta wait. Okay. On the earnings front, I think yeah we're done with earnings. Procter and Gamble reported this morning is about the only thing that really to talk about. Now let's get into some news here. Let's see if they give us a little summary here. No, we're gonna go move on from that. Let's see if the juice and the reason all this in red here is the CPI that went up. The CPI that went up maybe makes the Fed want to, make a cut. Okay, so that's basically all this red. And let's see if Trump's doing something today. Trump departs for no, that's really nothing special there. Okay, let's see if the risk. Um, that's about it there. Let's look at some more news. See, U.S. consumer prices likely remain higher in September amid tariff pass-through. Intel shares jump as investments cost is that cuts costs or cost cuts catapult turnaround efforts. Trump aims to clinch deal with China's G during Asia trip. Ford lowers annual guidance, citing fire at supplier's aluminum plant. Let's what else here? Yeah, I see gold prices decline as investors book profits. Let's see. Oh, let's see this. Advanced Micro Device, AMD and IBM. IBM said it's able to run a key quantum computing algorithm on commonly available chips from AMD. Okay. Let's see. Apple has started shipping artificial intelligence servers built in a factory in Houston. Interesting. Looks like Applied Materials will cut about 4% of its workforce. What else here? Just trying to give you guys the latest. Newmont beat third quarter profit estimates as record high gold prices help offset its weaker production, but warned that fourth quarter. Oh, here we go. But warned that fourth quarter free cash flow would take a hit due to higher spending. The gold miner said free cash flow in the ongoing quarter would be adversely impacted by rising costs tied to construction of water treatment facilities at, I don't know how to say that, Yanacocha. Interesting. They're down pretty big today, almost 6%. Target is cutting around 1,800 corporate roles. What else here? Coinbase. JP Morgan raises the target price to 404 from 342. Dow Inc. JP Morgan cuts target price to 23 from 25. Intel JP Morgan raises target price to 30 from 21. Okay. That's the news. Now, let's look at a little breath. Our little breath charts here. 56% over the 20 day civil moving average. Very middling. Very middling. Probably different now. Probably different now. All-time highs. Okay. All-time highs. Let's look at the Fed Watch tool. I don't know if that changed, but we'll just look at it. So let's look at, I think it's probabilities. Nope, compare. I like that compare. Yeah, there's really not much to talk about here. Expecting a quarter point cut on October 29th. Okay. Very small percentage of a 50. And then in December, yeah, we're looking at a quarter. That's what's going on there. All right. Our markets are crazy, folks. All-time highs again. Right? So, going back to daily charts real quick. Okay? Just to sum up what I was saying earlier. Is basically that, my friends, was the pullback. Right? That, my friends, was the pullback, and they gave you one more shot here. And then a whole bunch of gobbledygook to then go to all-time highs. Right? And this, my friends, could really, really get moving. And it's ultimate balance, right? I always talk about ultimate balance, right? So let's look at this range, because it's this range. Okay. Everybody who's short is underwater right now. Okay. Right now. Everybody. Right? It's ultimate balance. Okay. And you can see this in a couple ways. Right? So you can see it just on the chart there. I like to see it visually. Right? I like to see it visually, so I'm going to show you it visually on just a SPY. Because I could show you futures, but I show you that anyway, right? I show you that anyway. So let me just show you in futures. I'm not in futures, I'm sorry. In show you the same charts, but just show you in how SPY looks, how I have it on Thinkorswim, right? And you can see it very clearly here. See this right here? You can see this big high volume node and this big line. So 671, let's call it, is the most traded price of the last month. And look at this week's most traded price, the same price. So that's ultimate balance. It's the same thing I show you guys on my futures charts. Okay? So big moves happen here. This is where we close. See how we close right on ultimate balance in SPY? Right? You can see it here in a representation on a daily chart. See, this is the most traded price of the last 90 days, right? So I expect a very big move today. Now, if it gives us a pullback, it gives us a pullback. Okay, now let's look at Qs. Qs was not an ultimate balance here. See, most traded price of the month was 601. Notice how that was support. And then look, the most traded price of this week is 611. What are we now? 616, right? If I make this extended hours, you can see where we are right here. See how ultimate, like this is not ultimate balance, right? So if we go to SPY, ultimate balance, see the ultimate balance here? And look, boom. See that move? Zoom in, right? Now we're getting some wick here a little bit, but look at this move up to 678. Expected move to the upside this week is 682. Okay, so check that out. Interesting, right? Let's look at some other. Let's look at the Dow. What's the Dow doing? Dow's pushing up, and let's look at the Russell pushing up big time. That was also, was that an ultimate bounce? Yes, the Russell was an ultimate bounce right here to around 246, and it's just pushing, right? Pushing. That's our market, folks. That's our market today. Okay. So that's what I just wanted to show you guys that. All right. Not much to ponder on because we are in all-time highs. Okay. All-time highs. There's really not much to say. Hourly chart really doesn't matter right now because we're at all-time highs. I have no levels above. So I'm not going to talk about that much. There is levels. We'll go over one thing here because there is something to talk about. We're getting a wick, nice wick now. So we'll go to it. Let's go back to an hourly chart. Oh, give me 1 sec, folks. Okay, let's look at this hourly. All right. The only thing I'm going to look at here, and look at that, that's pretty much at a psychological number here. This demand zone, and really where we broke out, is 6,800. That's where you want to look at, right there, 6,800. Anything above ultimate balance, probably a buyable, a pullback. Okay. Also, this 67, what is this? Probably 70s is the most traded price of the week right here. Even this demand is buyable. All right. Now you're getting a wick here. It's pretty nasty. Okay. Probably people taking some profits. Remember, we're out of ultimate balance. And like I said, as long as we stay above this and you get a nice pullback, like I said, this should really cook. Now, here's the opposite of that. What if this is the blow off top? What if this is the blow off? Right? Made new all time highs. It's October. Because if we start to take the ultimate balance out, you go under this and you do one of these, that's panic city. That's profit taking. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's got to put it on the table. Okay? You got to put it on the table. Let's go back to the NASDAQ. Okay? Let's go back to an hourly. So, like I said, we have no supply above us. And I would say roughly around the 254s is your pullback in this demand zone here. And you have your most traded price of the week as the breakout level pretty much. So that is around 253.15s. So 253s, 15s, 253s, right? Right there. I would say anything down to in this area is viable for a pullback. Now, of course, if this market turns and is like, oh my God, this is weak, then you know it might be the blow off top. But so if you break this level, there's not the best structure here. See these candles? The way that moved up? That is not the best structure. That can get cleaned up pretty good. We go under this. Yeah, I would say I'm probably not going to long much. And I think all that structure can be taken out. We could see the 252s here, but we have to see. So that's your hourly charts. Okay. Now I'm going to switch our attentions to the market profile, volume profile. Just come up with some game plan here. All right. Let me like reposition my chart for you guys. Okay. Let's look at it together. This is your market profile, volume profile. All right. Big gap up. Big gaps up. Big gaps up are never fun to trade. They're usually difficult. Okay. Now we're getting some nasty wick here. That is definitely something. Okay. Remember what I said the other day? I said this has a bullish imbalance to it. Remember that? Well, look, I have to say it. You have a balanced profile. So the auction could be complete. Remember what I said. Very thin up here. Okay? Very thin volume. See single prints right here, right? Now, this is why I love volume profile. This does not mean we can't go higher today, but in a profile, this is an even now distribution. Okay. What the market needs to do. Okay. The most traded price of the week now is 67.73 right here. Ultimate balance is right here. Okay. Ultimate balance. Big moves happen. Okay. So this is considered a test outside of this balance. All right. What do we have to look at? For the market to move higher and sustain it, it needs to have value follow price. If you can't do that, you usually return back to value. Okay? It's like a bow and arrow or a rubber band. Okay, so the market today, what that means, trying to put it in layman's terms, is the price that was up here needs to start accepting and establishing value up here and try to move this most traded price of the week up here to then make another move. If it can't, it's going to come back here. If it goes through ultimate balance, that is very bearish. Okay? Very bearish. Now, on a gap up, of course, the levels you got to pay attention to is gap fill, 67, 85, 50. You got a demand zone here. You have ultimate balance right here. So that area is a buyable pullback. Okay? Another thing to note, your 50% Fibonacci, your midpoint of this overnight session is 68.05 right here. Okay. The next level is this demand zone. Remember I talked about the 6,800? Well, that starts right here. And what's important about that is you have the 67.95, the most traded price of the overnight here. Okay. Now remember, All-time highs and overnights are usually not secure, meaning we always usually make an all-time high in the RTH session. Okay? So, very clear here. Okay? Very clear of what to do. So let's get into scenarios. We'll start with the bull side because they're in control. Okay? So, what would I like to see? Okay? Now, we might move up a little bit, but any kind of whoop, quick selling can take out these single prints. And what am I going to look for? Let's break out this session so it makes more sense. Okay? Now, remember, I gave you these levels to look at. Midpoint, 6805s. Okay? The psychological number of 6800 is this demand zone. Also have the 67.95 the most traded price of the overnight. You can see all of that trading that happened here, right? This could be the pullback. And you can start making your way up and moving all day and trending up. Okay? Remember, anything in this big area is buyable. Now, we could get a little more weakness. Now, check this out. If we drop through the 67.95s, we are I would say a high chance of filling the gap at 67.85s right here. Now, in a perfect world, you hold it and you go. And we all know trading is not perfect. What if we pull back into yesterday's range? All you need to know is hold ultimate balance. So from the 67.75s down to like the 67.61s, okay? Anywhere in this area, as long as the market's not too weak, it should hold it and we go back up. Okay? The bear trap would look something like this. You come down real quick, you do something like this, maybe hit the week to date anchored VWAP, and you rip back up and hold it. Acceptance below here is bearish. Bearish. Okay? That is your longs. Shorts are not easy to come by today. What I will say is we are 100% net long right now, but we're not at the top. So that I usually would like to be at the top of the overnights, okay? And you're going to probably get some correction, okay? Meaning you could get this, boom, right here. Now remember, this is just the same scenario I gave you in the long, right? However, I'm not loving a lot of it because like you're fighting bulls. Okay? So if you do come through here and you're like, "Hey, Steve said if it passes through here, we can fill the gap." Well, be my guest. I don't really like this trade, but it's very viable to fill the gap. Now, where I am going to be interested a little bit is if we take out ultimate balance. Maybe we hit this demand and we bounce, right? But we start accepting below ultimate balance and the market continually starts to get weaker. That is the panic short that's going to happen, because then that would be a look above and fail back into range. Longs will panic. Okay, that's it for that. Moving on. NASDAQ time. Let's take this crazy chart. Same thing. Right now you have the auctions complete. Auctions complete. Okay. You have a nice balanced profile. Now, got excess and you got excess to the bottom. That looks complete to me. Now, again, like I said, it's just probability. The last couple times I've said this, we haven't went higher. But like I said, I'm open. I'm not like stuck to it. All right, I'm just noticing it. Have to notice it. Now, same thing In the NASDAQ, check out the midpoint, the 50% retracement of this move in the overnights, 25393s. Lines up with this demand zone perfectly. Okay, lines up. I'm going to put this big box, the most traded price of the week, around the 25313s. You have the overnight VPOC, 25368s, all in this area, all buyable. Okay, all buyable. Now you do have another level here. Okay, overnight lows is with the 24-hour most traded price of the week. You don't want to lose that. Okay, picture this like ultimate balance in the ES. All right, it's really all we're going to talk about here because it's the same story. Okay, so let's do scenarios here and get you guys out of here. Started a little later today. All right, let's do longs. Now, come back, come through here, come through these single prints, hit the 50% retracement, which happens to be demand, that happens to be the overnight VPOC. You could just boop, 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 and we're off into the weekend. You get a deeper one where you fill the gap. Now, filling the gap actually goes below the most traded price. That's fine because everything in here is buyable. So you could fill the gap, and you just would want to see to recapture the most traded price of the week, hold it, and you can go higher. Okay, that's your longs. All right, anything below overnight lows, I'm not really interested in a long. Let's go to shorts, which is the tricky trade. Okay, we're up more in a session, 100% net long. If you open up in here, that could be a nice move. That can be a nice move. Okay, so what would that look like? Open up, make new all-time highs, wick down, lower high. Now 100% net long and you're up here can cause a nice correction. This could free fall with these single prints, right? And then you go right into the demand where I said you should be a buyer. That's your trade for the short. That is not an easy trade, but that is your trade for the short. Okay? That is a very viable trade. Now, if we break through the 25368, which is the overnight VPOC, my feeling should be we're going to fill the gap most likely. And that is your 25, I can't read it, 25288s, I believe. Okay, that would be a nice trade as well. But remember, all of this is buyable in my long scenarios. The real kicker, okay, and you kind of got a poor low here in the overnight session, and that was where the close is. Okay, so if you take that out, okay, that is not good. That is not good. We're back into yesterday's range, okay, and that's going to cause a lot of panic from longs, okay. So I would want to see this taken out maybe, and then we start to accept. And if this market continues to get weak, this could get ugly, and we can find ourselves back to 249s, just like that, and that might be the blow off top for the time being. Okay, that's it, folks, for me today. Hopefully you enjoyed those scenarios. Please smash the like button if you did. All right, now hopefully you guys join me every morning. I give you the market story. I give you the lowdown on the markets. Let me be your podcast. Let me be your morning cup of coffee or tea. And just join me, because I don't steer you guys wrong. I don't think I've stirred anybody wrong, because I don't say, we're going down, folks. We're going up, folks. I'm always like, we should probably go up. That's what I said yesterday. We probably should go up. You know? And because there are times where I could be more convicted. Right? And the proof's in the pudding in my options trade, where I put it on specifically and said, I am not sure what this market's going to do. But if I had to say a probability of a shot, is that we rip back up in exactly what we did, right? But again, it's just how the market works, right? So hopefully you guys subscribe. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, join my Discord, Kaboom's Trading. Go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. I always give what I see what the market's capable of. Okay? Like yesterday, the equal weight was a lot weaker and it was a divergence, but tech was so strong. And I said the range is probably in for today unless the rest of the market catches up to tech. Or we can fall with some news catalyst, and if the tech takes profits and follows the equal weight, right? So just let me show you that real quick of what I mean by that. Because here's yesterday's internals. Okay. So this was where the market opened here, right? This is not very strong reading. Okay. And you can see equal weight was weak. Look at this market cap weight. That's how the market moves, just to let you guys know. This is how, if everything was equal, no market cap weight, the market was doing, the overall market. That's a big divergence, right? So, what happened? Now, tech was a beast, right? That's why these bars are above zero, because tech, consumer discretionary, was very strong, okay? Like you can see, communications had weakness yesterday. But look what happened here. This is where it's important. Right here, around 11:30, you notice the equal weight started to trend higher and higher, right? That's what the market needed. And then look when it went above zero, what the market was doing, right? So as this was going up, look what the market did. Up, it broke out, right? And then what did it do? It pushed, and then it pushed even more when this equal weight was following the market cap weight, like that. And I knew when I was in my credit spread, I got into it around here. I knew, okay, this is trending up, right? This was trending up, and I knew that if this continues, I was gonna be in trouble. Okay, and then this happened when Trump started talking, and I was able to get out for a small loss. Okay, but that's why I just want to explain to you how the internals work and what happened. Just like I said, the equal weight followed the market cap weight, and that enabled the market to push higher. Okay, just wanted to show you guys that. Hopefully you understand that. All right. Now, one thing I'm going to show you and leave you with. Okay, because I know I talk about market internals, and whoever watches this goes, I don't know what he's talking about. Doesn't make sense to me. If you go to my Discord and you go to education, okay, I really need to update some of these. Okay, market internals. There's a link here, right here, that you can click on this, and I went over in detail my market internals window and how I use it and all of the things that you guys see in the window. So go there, watch it, ask me a question. Okay. So with that being said, everybody have a great day. Everybody have a great weekend. And if I don't see you in my Discord, I'll see you guys Monday.